How's it going, guys? So, as you guys know, the wait is finally over. Dorothy is here upon us. This is probably like the longest wait we've ever had. Knowing like, okay, like an operator was supposed to come, but they got delayed, they changed the event order and whatnot and whatnot. And then like when they announced CC came before Dorothy, and then when they announced Summer Chen event before Dorothy, like rerun before Dorothy, like people were wondering like why is Yosta doing this? And then when they announced like they were going to do a maintenance at like 14th, right? And then people were even speculating like maybe it's going to be another operator, it might not even be Dorothy. But Dorothy is here finally. The meme is finally over. And so when I saw the gray altar announcement that they made on Twitter, I was like, finally, I can make a Shiju Pool video. It has been 2 months since I've made a Shiju Pool video. Can you imagine how, sorry for my words, but how dead Arknights felt to me? Because I don't really do CC, I do risk 18, and then rerun is not really, it's just, you just grind materials. So for me, Arknights has been really boring. Like I see my operators and all of my operators are max trust. That usually never happens because I'm always, I don't refill with my origin prime and anything. So usually I always have like the newest operator being not max trust. I've been at 200 trust on all my operators for like 2 or 3 weeks at this point. It feels really boring, to be honest. So great news is that we finally have Dorothy upon us. But sadly, I have to say that for this Shiju Pool video, I am actually here to tell you guys that why you shouldn't pull Dorothy banner. And so, yes, this is a bit of a spoiler, but the short answer of should you pull this banner or not is a no. Now, I'll go into details why, starting from Dorothy herself. So, Dorothy is like a, she's a trap master just like Robin, if I recall correct, that's her name, and Frost from the Rainbow Six Siege collab. So the main theme about these type of operators is that they have really low cost and they can deploy like these mines on the ground wherever enemies are not in, like the tiles that enemies are not in, and then these usually trigger some kind of damage or control kind of effect. Now, usually I would say they are quite fun, and I would say that Dorothy is actually a really fun operator, but she is not an operator that you actually need to have. Like, obviously, a lot of operators are not, you don't need to have. But even within the category of 6 stars, even in this environment, Dorothy is one of those operators that having her is not going to really benefit you by all means. Like, you're not going to get anything more, but you're not losing anything like not getting her as well. It's just like, meh, you can have her. Like me, if you're like, oh, such a waifu, and then you pull. That's just me. So first of all, let's take a look at her talent, because talent is actually pretty nice. So her first talent is that she can use, well, 8 mines at the same time, and she can hold 10. And the enemy who steps on it will trigger the effect of the mine, and then when she's deployed, she will immediately deploy 2 mines within her attack area. Obviously, it has to be ground, it can't be high ground. Her second talent is that whenever a trap is triggered, Dorothy gains 2% of her attack and stacks up to 10 layers. This can go up to 12 layers as she increases in her potential. Now, there's a really interesting part with this talent is that her first and second skill, when her first and second skill is stepped on by enemies, this effect will take place before the damage is dealt. So whenever like the first ever trap that she places down and then the first enemy comes, the moment they step on it, first and second skill, it will apply the 2% attack first and then deal damage. But her third skill is actually different. Third skill triggers and then damage is done, and then the 2% damage buff is applied. So there's a slight difference in that sense. Now, let's take a look at her skill. So, Dorothy's skill 1 is that when her trap is activated by an enemy, it will immediately deal damage to the target, dealing up to 450% of her attack as physical damage, and decreases defense by up to 35%, lasting 5 seconds. And at M3, this SP requirement will become 12 seconds, and it is automatically activated, and that will regain herself one trap. So she regens one trap once every 12 seconds. That's the same with all 3 skills. So with this skill, obviously what you're trying to do is deal physical damage and decrease enemies' defense. And the fact that it's minus 35% defense already tells that you're not going to be using this skill. If you really want to decrease enemies' defense, just Shamir Dole. Shamir skill 2, that has like minus 50% defense. You don't need this skill. Like, as you can see, I didn't even bother going with skill mastery. You can ignore it. Skill 2. Okay, skill 2 is actually what I would consider to be her best skill, personally. So the effect is that whenever the skill is activated, it will immediately deal damage to all surrounding enemies. I think it is with the radius of 1.2 tiles. And then it will deal up to 300% of her attack as physical damage and bind all targets by 3.5 seconds. That's it. AoE 3.5 second bind. Actually very strong. And if the trap only hits one enemy, it will bind that one enemy for 6 seconds. So you can think of one trap as a 6-second hard control. And since the skill generates one trap once every 12 seconds, and you can stack up to, I think, 10 on her at the same time, so you can have a lot of control. Now, obviously this is a very fun skill. The damage isn't low because 300% of 661 attack is actually really strong. It's like 2000 physical attack. But the thing is, when it comes to control, you have other operators that does better, right? And you don't really need Dorothy, which is especially when it comes to playing with traps. If you've ever played with a trapper, you would know that first, they use a lot of DP. Each trap costs 3 DP. Second of all, you're using your arm a lot. What I mean by that is that, okay, you're gonna like, whenever there's an enemy, you're like, drop your mine to the path, drop the mine to the path, drop. It's like spamming mine, and it's just a lot of effort. This is like probably the most effort that you will ever put into using one operator, I should say that. And so can I really say that I recommend using her just for this? So I mean, she does the job. Not really worth it. Now skill 3 is probably the most interesting, but the second most useful skill out of all 3 of her skills. So the effect is that when this trap is triggered, it will deal damage to all targets within a crisscross pattern, and dealing up to 350% of her attack as arch damage, and let them slow, so minus 80% movement speed for up to 5 seconds. And then within 2 seconds, after a 2-second delay, all of the traps within that area will also be triggered. So what you can do is you can do a chain explosion type of a action and deal like tons of arch damage in one go. The downside is obviously that yes, the trap, you can do a ton of damage at once, but because this is arch damage and she doesn't have resistance penetration, yeah, the damage drop-off is really severe. And in general, if you really want to do arch damage, you don't really need to play a trapper. You can just play, I don't know, AFLer. If you really want to do damage way across the map, you also have Golden Glow. There's a lot of way to deal damage, and using a trap is just not the most efficient. Especially, you have to understand that the way you're playing with trapper is, okay, you're in this situation where you have to predict where the enemy will be going, right? And then you place a mine down there, or even like several mines together and make like chain explosion, kind of thing. That means this map is already very easy to you. And so you can play with like these kind of trick strategies and whatnot. But if the game is already that easy for you, do you really want to use Dorothy to do it? Yes, you can say you want to because traps are fun. But do you need to? No, because you already have a way easier time to just kill the freaking enemies then letting the trap do the job, because you already find it really simple. You already find the stage simple enough that you can be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this trick shot. The moment you're doing trick plays, like trick shot plays like this, is it really like worth pulling a car operator just to do that? Especially for those of us that are, you know, free to play ish, when there are like, you know, some operators that are coming really soon that are gonna be really strong. Is it really worth pulling her? For me, yes, because I might like her. But for you who don't really care about the art perspective of a character, probably not. So that's about it for Dorothy. Oh, okay, I forgot the 5-star. What was it? What was his name? Grey Altar? Yeah, Grey Altar. Do you want to pull Grey Altar? No, just no. So that's it for this video. It's been a great time since I haven't made a Juju pool video in like 2 months, like I said in the beginning. So it feels kind of nice to be back making videos like this again. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully coming really soon, and they don't mess up with like the whole event order things again. Yostar, yes, Yostar, I'm talking to you. Don't mess with us again. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.